Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to the last Hollie's Hotspurs live of the season. I mean, it is gone. That's the last time we'll ever have that to listen to.
Excuse me, Dad dancing, Hollie. I'm just so happy the season's over. Carry on.
No, I think we all are, to be honest. These therapy sessions have come thick and fast every week, and I don't think I can take another one. So it is nice to call this the last one of the season. And then to do so, we've got a win to talk about and then lots of other things, but we'll get on to them later. With me tonight to dissect everything that's happened this season and more, I am joined by three fabulous guests. First of all, I am joined by Jay. Jay, how are you on this fine Monday bank holiday?
Just like Lucas Moura, the super sub has been called upon for the last Hollie's Hotspurs of the season. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be very good. It's nice to talk about the season being over.
Agreed. No, thank you, Jay, for jumping on last minute, like always. I'm also joined by Costa. Costa, it's great to have you back on, my friend. And we've actually got a win to talk about a little bit to start with, so that's great.
This is good. This is great. It's brilliant. But most importantly, 6:30 last night, the season was over.
It was indeed, and it is such a good feeling. And I'm also joined by Crackers. Crackers, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, Hollie. And just to reiterate what Anthony said, 6:30 last night, it was like taking new shoes off, wasn't it? It was just like, and just putting your sliders or your slippers on and like socks off, and that was it, wasn't it? It was all over. The 22-23 season, the season of wearing new shoes. It was awful, wasn't it? So evening, everyone. Hope you're all well.
No, thank you. Like I said, I think we're all under the same impression that we are so glad that season is over. But we're going to talk about the last game of the season because it was a win. I've kind of forgotten what those kind of feel like. So Jay, I'll come to you. It was the last away game of the season, or the last game. What was your kind of thoughts, obviously, before the game with Leeds, obviously trying to battle it out to stay up, which obviously they haven't done now?
Well, I thought Leeds were going to battle it out until I saw their lineup and saw that they'd named nearly like 6 defenders, which was an interesting tactic. Considering they were playing us. If you've been watching Spurs, I don't think sitting back against us is the way to beat us. When they saw a back four of Davies, Longlet, Sanchez and Emerson Royale, I don't know why Big Sam thought playing 6 defenders would be the way to beat us, but there we go. We were in the garden talking about it before the game. You know, Leeds have everything to play for. We had nothing to pay for other than maybe a good vibe to end the season on. So the Kane talks go well, but you know, that's going to be a whole nother topic later. But yeah, for me, it should have been a game that we normally should win. I do think Leeds had a lot more to play for, and they played well, but they were just, you saw why they're getting relegated. You really did. They had no hope, and I think Sam Allardyce said that after the game, that you know they shot themselves in the foot, and then there's nothing they can do. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a manager that Ryan Mason can add to his scalp list. But but before the game, it was kind of a nothing. We were just sat in the garden having pizzas, and it was like it was on, but you know, it's like it didn't mean anything to us, to be honest. It didn't really mean anything.
It didn't, and I don't feel sorry for Leeds, but Costa, like Jay's kind of said, they didn't really set up in a way that had me worried when that team sheet came out, regardless of our back line.
No, I mean, it was coming to what Joe was saying, it was quite surreal that they need that win to stay up, and they played 6 defenders. So I was a bit like, okay, where are we going with this? And you know, us conceding 62 or 63 goals this season, it's the perfect time to play Tottenham. But we rode our luck, and it was a bittersweet win, wasn't it? Really, nice to get 3 points on the ball, but it doesn't mean anything because we're not in Europe, thank goodness, and we can hopefully rebuild for next season if and when we get this new manager, whoever that may be.
No, definitely. And I think for me, that was kind of like, you want to finish the season, I say on a high, but I think everything that's going on at the moment is kind of dampening that. But Crackers, it was great to see that Harry Kane scored within 2 minutes. So any doubt of us not being able to do it, we did do it very early on.
Yeah, that just completely killed it for them, didn't they? Because they had to win. Then I think they needed like Everton to lose. Leicester needed snookers. Then I think they needed to win by 4 clear goals, and then I think it went on head to heads and away go. It was just like so convoluted. But I really couldn't believe that they put such a defensive lineup out, especially with Robbie Keane there as well, a man that knows Tottenham. I thought you'd have been in Big Sam's ear and said to him, just throw 11 strikers on and absolutely like put it on them, because if you put it on this Tottenham team at the moment, they're absolute soufflés. So they only really need to come out and come at us a little bit of shock and awe, and they might have got something different. But them's the breaks, and after 2 minutes, that was all done. It killed the crowd and everything. So, but yeah, it's last game of the season, 4-1 away win, should be buzzing from it, but it was just like that doesn't even touch the sides, does it? There's just so much soap opera and drama going on around the club at the moment that the last sort of 10 games just haven't even registered, have they? Really, a win, a loss, a draw, it all just feels nothing at the moment, and football, supporting your team's all about feeling the highs, feeling the lows, not this ambivalence. It really isn't. So there's so much work to be done at Spurs on and off the pitch, re-establishing a connection with the fans. I don't even know if that's possible now, to be honest. I think Enoch are too far down the runway with it, and I think their last hope of any chance of really getting the fans back went west today, literally, and went to West London. So we'll see. But look, we're here for just that game yesterday. Win's a win, and shackles are off, and we've done really well. But Kane again, Hollie, isn't it? Kane again. He's just like, at the moment, you'd make him director of football, chairman, tea lady, striker, manager, kit man. Not the kit man, because the kit man's a decent bloke, but that's probably the only one I wouldn't replace, to be honest, Stevie Dukes. But he's just Mr. Tottenham at the moment, isn't he? He's the last lifeboat on the Titanic, it feels like.
It really does. And obviously, sticking with Kane, obviously, Costa yesterday, Kane managed to get 2, and he sort of assisted Pedro Porro as well. So it's like Cracker said, he's literally the man of the moment. And it's whether we can keep hold of him or whether he wants to stay next season. What's your kind of thoughts on him and his movements?
I think he'll run his contract down. I think he'll stay with us for one last season, the big last hurrah. And then I think he'll make the move abroad or here in the UK in the Premier League. So I think, if he went tomorrow, I'd not begrudge him. I think he deserves a good move and go off hopefully and try and win things, my friend, because you've got us out of trouble so many times over the years, and you deserve to be in and amongst the team that's going on and winning things. We've just sat back and it's gone stale, and he's the only bright spark in a team that's really, really just quite flat at the moment.
No, and I think we're kind of under that illusion with everyone. I think that we don't begrudge him if he moves on. And Jay, obviously, after the game, he did a little press interview and he was asked about what's going on next season. And he literally just said, I'm going to have a break. There was no Harry Kane is Harry Kane. He's very good with the media. He didn't give anything away. I mean, what's your kind of thoughts? Are you kind of on the same as Costa? He's going to run his contract down. Do you think Daniel Levy will let that? Or do you think Daniel Levy doesn't really have a choice in the matter?
I think whatever happens, he is an outright professional, and there is no way he was going to do. I know it wasn't bad of Hazard what he did in the Europa League final, when Chelsea won and said, "Look, I'm leaving after the game." You know, I don't think Kane would do that. I don't think that's the right time if that is what he wants to do. So I think, first of all, obviously, whatever happens, I don't think it'll be under a cloud, or I don't think it'll be him disrespecting the club in any way. I just think whatever he decides to do is what he decides to do. I had this argument with my dad the other day. I think if you look at players like Matt Le Tissier, maybe not off the field Matt Le Tissier, on the field Matt Le Tissier, you know, you probably a player of that caliber doesn't come around very often. And I think especially our generation of footballers, loyalty is hard to come by. It would not shock me if he stayed. I'll be perfectly honest. It wouldn't shock me, because everything about him, his professionalism, the way he is with his family, the way he is with his kids, you know, I genuinely think as a human being, he would consider, you know, does he want to uproot his family and move away? If he does, that limits his choices of club to move to another London team. Do I think he'd do that? Maybe with the Argentinian joining Chelsea. That would be the only option if he wanted to stay in London. I don't know. I wouldn't begrudge him for going. Part of me, be it naive, thinks he might stay even for further than next year. But I really don't see it. And like I can't remember, it's Costa or Crackers said, you know, we really, really need to give him the Mbappe role of director of football if he's going to sign a new contract. You know, and I don't agree with players having that kind of power. But again, I don't think Kane would ask for it. So yeah, I don't know. I want him to stay. And I when the whole City saga was going on last year, I was very vigilant in saying, you know, whoever's managing his PR and everything is managing him wrong here. And whether he wanted to stay or not, we don't know. But again, ever since he's taken control of his own PR and stuff, I think he's ever the professional, and we'll just have to wait and see what Kane decides to do.
I mean, Woody said, how long does he have left in his contract? He literally has a year left. So it's whether we're going to sell him now or keep hold of him. But coming to you, Crackers, obviously the numbers don't lie. I think he's only six goals behind Haaland. And you think Haaland's in that team. He's got so many good players around him. Kane has literally backpacked the whole of Spurs on his back this season.
Oh, massively, you know, 30 goals for a Tottenham team, for me, is more impressive than 36 that Haaland got at City. I dread to think how many Kane would get in that City side. And you know, Haaland's a better striker, Kane's a better footballer. It's just as simple as that. So, I mean, this summer he's got a year left, but his options are maybe a little bit limited in some respects. City not coming back in for him. Maybe Man United. Can't see him really going anywhere else, to be honest, or overseas. So I think a lot of it depends on if the club are tested with a bid. I think if something like 80-90 million pounds comes in from overseas, then the club would consider it. But you know, they won't look at what Daniel Levy and Enoch won't look at what he does football-wise. They'll just look at the numbers. They're accountants. That's all they are. They'll just look at the numbers and say to themselves, okay, look, if somebody from England comes in, an English team comes in and they bid 120 million, then he goes. If somebody from overseas bids 85, 90, he can go. Otherwise, you know, he'll stay. He'll just run down his contract. But all this as well on top of that may be like for the birds, because there's every chance he could also sign a deal as well to stay at Spurs. I'll probably die on this hill. I've got a mad theory that we're not that far off of getting an NFL team at Tottenham Hotspur to go along with the you know, the ice rink and the monster trucks and Beyonce and Rihanna and whatever else is going on now. And I do think that he could well sign a new deal and then just transition into being a kicker at the new team or franchise that's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Do you remember we used to have football there? Do you remember it just like we used to be a
Yeah,
football
what shape
club?
was the ball?
Do you remember that? It's so yeah, there's it's all if buts, whats, and maybes and wherefores now. I think it all depends what comes in bid wise, really, to test the club. So, but he's been priceless to us. Can you imagine our season without him this season? If we hadn't have had him, I genuinely think we'd have been we might have been in a bit of relegation bother. I think we could have been looking over our shoulder. I don't think we would have gone down, but I do think we would have been really looking over our shoulder, to be honest. So interesting old summer. And then you got the media as well, just trying to sell him every 2 minutes. He scored on 2 minutes yesterday. They just can't keep his name and the move out of their mouth, can they? As soon as he scored, the man who might be getting his last goal for Spurs this season. They just cannot wait. I've never known anything like it. It doesn't happen at other clubs. They're absolutely obsessed. I don't know what the media is going to do if he gets sold. If he gets sold, there's going to be 1,000 journalists in Fleet Street unemployed because they're obsessed with it. Honestly, they're like Piers Morgan with Meghan Markle, aren't they? They're absolutely obsessed by him. So let's see what the summer brings.
Do you know what, right? How many Kane's been doing? How long has he been a professional? 9 years now, 10 years, like proper consistent in the Spurs team. You think about it, man. Without him, wow, I dread to think where we'd be. And you look at the Bale years, like prime Bale. It was only 3 to 4 years max. He's doubled that and more, and he scored much more than Bale. So you look at how much would Bale and Kane were in the same team now. Like I know they was in during the lockdown time, but if they're in the same team now, who would be worth more? It's crazy, isn't it?
It is mad. And to think we had all that talent and we haven't managed to win anything it's beyond me. I mean, Janet says that has been at Spurs since he was 11, but obviously he didn't turn professional till a bit later on.
No, I mean like professional.
Professional. Yeah, I'm with you. But it's just, it is mad to think that we've had him and we haven't been able to give him the silverware. But like Paddy said, obviously Costa with the manager, and I was going to get onto managers later, but I think we should just hit the ground running.
I think Paddy's spot on though, Hollie. I think it all depends again who comes in when and when they do come in. But it depends if that manager's got a vision. If Kane's going to be top bod and build the team around Kane, brilliant. If he's not, which I very much doubt it, then unfortunately we've got to bite our lip and go, we've got to back this manager and see where he takes us. So it's a weird one, isn't it, people? So if he comes in and wants Harry as the main guy, brilliant. If he doesn't, then we've just got to go, okay.
And that's
Do you know what though, Hollie? To play devil's advocate there, he has had chances to win finals. He's been in them. And, there's been a few games where he could have maybe grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck and some of the players in the team and dragged us through and just found that moment. So, you can temper that a little bit where he's not got anything to show silverware wise, but it's not like we've never made a final. So, just to try and add a little bit of balance to it. But massively the scales are tipped in the favour of Harry just being a great player, probably where he's been let down by players around him more than anything. But there's that balance to be had.
No, definitely. And I think you're right, because obviously, like you said, we have been in finals and we haven't managed to get it over the line, but Harry has been involved in those finals. So you are right to add a bit of balance there. But Jay, coming to you, because obviously we've mentioned managers. I'm not going to say the man you want to talk about first. I'm going to lead on to that.
I was about to say, that's a point later.
Yeah, we'll leave that for later. But obviously there's been lots of talk. We're not getting Slot. We're not getting, potentially not getting Nagelsmann. Who for you is the man to come in and fix all of this mess, do you think?
A crazy man that does not exist on planet Earth, sadly. I definitely, the one name that I will rule out that I'm not a fan of, and I'm seeing a lot of people say they want, is Postecoglou. For me, Nuno Espirito Santo could manage that Celtic team and win the league. You know, anyone could go over there and win the league with Celtic. And for me, I'm not a fan. He seems like he's quite a character. He's quite firm. And unless we have a massive clear out of the squad, which granted, I think we need, you know, just like Mourinho, just like Conte, I've got a feeling that if he does come in, he might rub a few of the players up the wrong way. And if the board and Levy and whoever aren't going to get rid of these players, then that's not the sort of character that you probably want in the team to make a change if we don't offload 90% of our squad. I think for me, it's got to be a rebuild manager. I said this on your podcast before. I think there's a lot of fans in our fan base who are calling for a rebuild manager, but I question their patience for a rebuild manager. You know, we're talking 2-3 years of 7th, 8th consistently, maybe the odd Europa League run. As a fan base looking at, you know, we were calling for Conte's head whilst we were 4th. You know, are we going to be going, oh, well, we're only 11th, we're 3 points off 8th, but, you know, we're here for the project. So I like, you know, I like, let's go to Old Faithful. Let's get ex-Chelsea manager Graham Potter in. He's got a chip on his shoulder, played nice football under Brighton. Everyone seems to have forgotten that just because of how awful he was at Chelsea. And yeah, imagine that, Poch versus Potter, eh? Jesus Christ.
I think Potter's at the top of Palace's list.
Yeah, I've just seen that actually. Yeah. I just think, you know, the question is, and obviously we'll get onto it in full later, with the Kane situation, I'm really intrigued, and obviously we'll never know whether Kane was part of the conversation as to why Pochettino didn't get the phone call. Because if Kane's gone, I don't want him back. Is that why? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because the reason, obviously, with Poch, for me, is why I didn't want him back, is because we've done it, we've been there. But if Kane thought the same, then I'm up for anyone else to come in and do it. Because at this point, it can't get any worse. And I'm happy to just go, right, until we find the right guy, we find the right guy. But it's going to be awful for a little bit. But it's got to happen. It's got to happen. And whoever comes in has got a hell of a job on their hands.
100%. I think we all echo that. I mean, Costa, for you, obviously Jay's mentioned the Celtic man, who I'm not going to butcher his name. And I think I'm on this. Yeah, that's the one. I think I'm kind of on the same wavelength, because with Pochettino, in his book of what he's done, he was at Southampton, he was at Espanyol before. With his Celtic man, he's been in Japan, Australia, and now he's at Celtic. I don't know if he's quite the caliber to come in to Spurs, and I suppose we can't be choosers right at this moment in time.
Oh, right. Who do I think? I don't know, Hollie. I don't know anymore. I'm drained with it all, because as I said, you get a project manager coming in and you finish your 7th, your 8th, might get a Europa Conference spot, might even be absolutely lucky and get a Champions League spot. I'm just throwing it out there. Then everyone's all happy and everything. But if there's a rebuild manager and you're not rebuilding, what is the point? This is why my theory of not having European football next season, unfortunately, it might hurt a lot of people, but I'm so happy, because we wouldn't have taken it seriously. We would have just gone out with it, bottling a game that we need to win, like we always do in Europe. You know, we've never gone to Europe and proper made a statement. All right, the Ajax game you could say, but still then we never went out and smashed Ajax. It was, we had to, do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm diverted, but I think the manager-wise, you look at people like Martin Yao, we stumbled across him, really. Poch, to an extent, you know, it was really, this geezer. So if it is Big Ange, you'd have to just get behind him. I know it's hard to take, but it's annoying because is he my first choice? No. Would he be my third choice? No. But the person who comes in now will not be first choice. So you're going back to Nuno 2.0, and then by November we lose to Luton Town away on a cold Wednesday night, and then the fans are on that person's back. It's never ever going to be smooth with Tottenham. It will never, until things change.
And I think that's the root, the underlying thing of everything is until something changes. Because Crackers, we never see anything change. But with you, with Jay and Costa, who are you kind of under the impression that yes, we're not going to get our first choice anymore? Because I think everybody was after Nagelsmann, and to be fair to him, the fact he doesn't want to come because there's not a director of football in place kind of says it all about Spurs at the minute.
But he's offered the director of football. He's offered who he wants to work with,
and he doesn't want it.
And Levy and Co don't want to. So
yeah. I think ultimately, Hollie, whoever comes in is doomed to fail with the way the club's run now. I just can't see past it. You know, even if somebody comes in and absolutely tears it up, they can only tear it up as far as Enoch will allow them. It's as simple as that. It's, you know, so look, but in the meantime, until we find another lunatic with 5 billion quid down the back of the sofa, it looks like we're stuck with them. Or if they do something and move the chairman aside, and you know, and the way the football side of the club is run is improved. Listening, I think Paul Hawksby on TalkSport absolutely nailed it the other day, and he said a lot of this is optics at the moment because you got Brendan Rodgers, that was one Stevie Gerrard slip away from winning the league with Liverpool. And if he'd have walked out of Liverpool at the end of that season and come to Spurs, we would have been absolutely delighted. Went to Leicester, wins the FA Cup as well. Probably got let down a little bit by his ball. Well, quite a lot, actually, and out the door. So, I mean, I don't really like Brendan Rodgers as a person much, but, you know, I've not got to hold his hand and take windy walks with him, have I? So, you know, so there's somebody that has got it in his locker to be a Spurs manager. Ditto Graham Potter, you know, when he was at Brighton, you looked at him, and if he'd come to Spurs, you'd go, "Whoa, yeah, okay, yeah, I like his football." He went to Chelsea. Never worked, and I don't think it helped that De Zerbi went to Brighton and it did work. But he's another manager that could probably get you playing some football that you can get behind and watch. Postecoglou, a lot of people in football that I've spoken to said he's a decent manager, but you know, it's a tough one. Most of this is optics. We just need somebody really that the players buy into, that they like working under, somebody that plays a bit of front foot football that we can sort of get behind, and then we're just going to have to be patient because whoever comes in, there's just so much work to do. This is now, whoever comes in, a 3, 4, possibly 5-year job to get out what, you know, the players that they don't want and get in the ones we do. You can't just get rid of 9, bring in 9. Football doesn't work like that, you know. And even that's not that. The mechanics of that is not Enoch's fault. It's their fault that we're in that position. But we've got that sort of amount of players to get out and get in. But even if they turn around tomorrow and have a real like epiphany and then go, right, okay, we are really going to throw everything at this. You can't just get rid of 8, 9 players and replace them. So whoever comes in, I want them to talk about us and we and be us, and you know, and start this rebuild. And we'll just have to suck it up, Buttercup, and just like, you know, put up with a rebuild. So I don't know. I really don't know at the moment, and I'm a bit like Ant. I'm a bit like, well, whatever. Just someone, just get somebody in, and like, you know, let's get going again.
Quickly, I just want to echo what Crackers is saying. I'm going to put it to you people. I forgot what I was saying now.
That's old age for you, Ant.
Oh, mate, that's what am I thinking of? What was I going to say? Oh,
How frazzled our brains are. Go on.
Sorry. The manager, whoever they were looking at, he should have been hired 2 weeks ago, right? To give the club hopefully a bit of a lift, a bit of a buzz. He can come in, see who he wants, see who he doesn't want, see what we need, what we don't need. X, Y, and Z. You've got 8, 9, 10 players coming back off loan in a couple of weeks. So are they going to get another chance? By the time they've been given another chance, we might be 11th, 12th, lose to Gillingham in the League Cup, no disrespect to Gillingham, lose to Forest Green again in the FA Cup 4th round, got, no disrespect to Forest Green, but this is what I'm saying. So by that time, we're playing catch up, and then we've got to wait for the January transfer window to come in. We go, we've got to try and get rid of him, this person to come in. We're just playing catch up now. And it's ever since this club went 500 odd days, etc., without signing a player. You got Dyer, Davis, and Lloris nearly on testimonials right there. That's 30 years at a club between them.
See, there you mentioned all defensive players, and I've just seen something come up on Twitter which has made me laugh. 17th place Everton conceded 6 less Premier League goals than Tottenham's this season.
Well, you just hit it on the head, JJ.
There you go. But you know what? And conversely, somebody might come in who Undembele offers up his firstborn to marry and absolutely love and starts being the player that he can be. Basuma might love him. Jed Spence might come back in, absolutely love him. Sonny loves him. Richie loves them. And then all of a sudden, they're absolutely running through brick walls for him. That's what I'm saying, So as much as it could be Nuno part 2, the next man could be Pochettino part 2. So it's interesting old times. It's all about, football's a funny old game, as somebody once said. Most of it just isn't even played with your feet. It's all just up here. It's all about how much you can motivate people and get them to buy into to what you do. It's more personality managing than it is being a football manager. It's like the coaches do that, and they're already footballers. You don't get to become a Premiership footballer without being able to play football. So you can't kind of, in some respects, teach them to be footballers. You can get them a bit quicker, but you can do work with the mechanics of them. But everything else is up here. Take Granit Xhaka for example. He was all over the place, absolutely all over the place, getting booed off, throwing his shirt, all sorts. Now this season he was unbelievable for Arsenal because old Diet Pep got into his head and got a tune out of him. So that's what it's all about. It's all about just managing people and knowing which ones to put your arm around and which ones to kick up the arse. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Who do you want, Hollie?
To be honest with you, I really don't know at this point. I wanted Nagelsmann, but obviously that's not going to happen with him offering who he wants as his director. So at this moment in time, I will just go with whatever, because like we all keep saying, nothing's going to change while we have this man at the top, I think, personally. And we're just in a merry-go-round, and it happens all the time, every time. So every time I get excited for a new manager, say Jose or Conte, I was buzzing, and then I realised as the season went on, actually we're back to where we started, because it happens all the time. So I don't really know. Jay, I was going to talk about your man Poch, because obviously I know you're itching to talk about him, and he has obviously today gone to those down the road at Chelsea, and I know that the fan base on Twitter and probably everywhere has gone into meltdown, but you weren't too meltdowny about it, to be honest.
You were. So just for some context, I've recently deleted all of socials off my phone, so I'm trying to stay off social media when I'm out and about and stuff, and I was really, really intrigued and really wanted to download Twitter on my phone just for today, just to see some of the meltdowns on the timeline that are currently occurring and the compilation videos and all of the stuff I'm seeing. For me, as most teenage boys in planet Earth will know about during school. If you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait in the friend zone, and then the person goes down the road, that's normally how it works. We a couple of months, well, not even a couple of months ago, 2-3 games ago, was singing his name at a game, and
fourth, Jay, sorry mate to cut you there. We were fourth under Conte.
Yeah, fourth
We've
under
just
Conte,
got-
and people were singing his name. And this is it. This is exactly the gripe that I've had for years. And this moment, it's been boiling up, and I've been waiting, because for me, it shows everything that it has. There's a lot that's gone wrong at this club. Obviously, the contention of whether sacking him at the time was right or wrong. Obviously, now we were also getting smacked about when he was managing us, but we've had amazing managers, and our fan base has not been able to let go. And if this doesn't stop 90% of the fans, then I don't know what will. I understand, and I did see a couple of good points on the timeline saying, how can you begrudge him for it? He didn't pick up the phone. Levy didn't supposedly pick up the phone to him to either offer him the position. So why would he say no to Chelsea? Which I totally agree with. That's fine. But whoever the next manager is, I'm glad that Chelsea have announced this now, because I couldn't deal with another manager coming in, and after losing 4 games, our fans start singing about Pochettino again. How can we, as a club, expect to move forward if we want a manager that we had years ago? I don't get it. And today, for me, that's it. It's line in the sand. It has to be. It has to be.
You know what, Jay? I've never, since supporting this club 42 years, in the last 7-8 years, I've never known a manager to divide a fan base so much as Poch. I don't mean about him being a great personality, lovely guy. Right?
Yeah, lovely guy.
I'm talking, what did people want? Okay, he got us to a few finals, he got us to a few semis. As we all know, he never got us over that line, right? But it was it just playing nice football all the time, playing nice football, winning 5-4, losing 3-2, but having 80% possession? And do you know what I mean? There was always that thing of Poch. I like Poch. I started to think it was at the beginning of the end for him, and Crackers will be with me because we went together. It was the Colchester game.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Crackers. I went, I'm done now, mate. He's got to go. And I think Crackers was a bit like, what do you mean? I went, nah, it's it now. It's done. It's done. And I remember going on TalkSport. I said, he needs to go. And Paul Hawkesbury was like, no, he can't go. He can't go. You know what you're talking about? He can't go. Because it was that thing of never saying that he had to get sacked or had to leave, because Poch was like at that time the Messiah. And he's gone to West London. Good luck to him. The man's got to eat. And let's see what happens now at the Battle of the Bridge next season. And I guarantee you, it's going to be the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Bookmark this, Hollie. Bookmark it.
I will.
Nice day, end of August time. Watch.
It's just like you said. I think we needed this to happen because we've had it hanging over our heads for so long, and I know Jay doesn't hate Poch, but Jay is very much like, I don't want him back.
No, but like, sorry, but no. But like, I don't hate Pochettino. I don't know the guy, and like Cracker said earlier about Brendan Rodgers, I don't have to go for walks with him, in the sunset and get an ice cream. I don't know the guy. I don't like Pochettino for the exact same reason that Anthony's just said. The fan base totally split when he went, and it's never been the same since.
No,
it's never been the same since. And no matter what manager we've had Jose Mourinho, we've had Antonio Conte. They're the only 2 that are worth mentioning, right? In the back of, I'd go as far as to say 49% of the fan base's mind, all they wanted was him back. No matter who stepped through that door, there was a little bit in 49% of fans that would have dropped everything for Pochettino to come back after those 2. For me, I just don't like what he did to our club, and I think he has got a mental advantage over us this season. because I think the fans won't know what to do when the game happens. The players won't know how to react. 6 points for Chelsea this year. Bookmark that, in my opinion. If he stays for the whole season at Chelsea and he succeeds, 6 points against us. Because, the fans aren't going to know what to do. And you said to me, Hollie, that you were 100% sure that the fans wouldn't sing his name. I still now think there will be fans that would sing his name if we started losing. If we started losing at home, I wouldn't be surprised if there was not a big contingent, but a contingent of fans that would still sing his name.
A very good friend of mine yesterday. I did a gig down in Bournemouth, and he was, bless him, Brandon Block, right? He's a big Spurs fan. He was DJing. I went on the stage, and I went to him. Have you heard about Poch? He went, what? And he's DJing. I went, he's going to Chelsea. He was like, no, what are you talking about? No. Great, yeah. What I'm trying to say is, as much as I love my mate Brandon, but it goes to show like the emotion, regardless of what age you are, what he did to this club. Do you know what I mean? If he'd have come back, as I said when we started talking, got to back him. But the players that are there, they're still there from Poch's era. We've still got AVB's era in Hugo Lloris. As I said, there's 3 players there with 30 years between them. Davis, Dyer and Lloris. Am I right, Cracks? Lloris is 12 years now, I believe.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
It's just mental.
No, it is mad. And I think Crackers, I mean, for you as well, is that kind of thing like lots of people are saying Poch is dead to me, this, that, and the other. And I think, like someone made a point in the chat, it's the years that we had with him that we crave, the feeling. I think that's what clouds lots of people's judgments. And the trouble is with this club, like Costa said, we've still got players here. So what is the point of Poch coming back? He's got nothing new to deal with.
Well, it's not like social media to be over dramatic, is it? Poch is dead to me. Normally such a quiet, serene and cerebral place, rational thinking, isn't it? It's, I think it was Janet earlier put up the message, and that's what I said at the time when they were singing his name, and when Conte was there. I think it wasn't so much Pochettino. I think he got weaponised by the fan base, and what we wanted was to feel what we felt when Pochettino was here. So not Pochettino per se. There's arguments to be had if he'd have been backed and got that new furniture that he spoke of in the house, rather than the direction they took of sacking him and going for 2 win-now managers and not giving them any win-now tools to do the job with. It probably worked out cheaper. He might have still failed. We'll never know. But there's been a lot of ire taken off the ball today. I'm more concerned that we're at day 63, I think it is now, of no manager, no director of football, and what he's done and where he's gone really is an irrelevance. It's an absolute irrelevance. He's gone now. All right, he's gone. See you later. Whether he works out there or not, it's another show. But this isn't a Chelsea pod, is it? I have my doubts. I don't think he's going to be that well received there, and I think he's got a lot of sorting out to do. It's as much as we've got a bin fire to sort out at our place. I think they've got like way too many Gucci shirts hanging out their wardrobe, and it's a mess is a mess, isn't it? So Harry does there, but I'm really not concerned about that now. I'm concerned about what we're going to do and the direction we're going, and I don't want to take my eye off the ball of the mess that's been made at Tottenham by Enoch. And this is what needs sorting out. So away you go. Won't wish you luck. How can you wish him luck? I loved him, absolutely loved him. But crack on. That's your job now. Football. They're not fans. If there's one thing that he's more guilty of, is maybe just over pallying the fan base a little bit too much. Oh, I'm one of you. I'm like, but then he's Argentinian, he's South American. That's what South Americans do. I live in a South American culture. They can be a little bit like that, maybe he should have kept a little bit of distance because he almost got viewed upon as a fan, and he isn't. He's a working man in football. I do know that if we'd have picked up the phone to him, even if the ink wasn't dry on that contract, he'd have ripped it up and come back. So Chelsea fans will always have to live with that, to be honest, because at any time we'd have picked up the phone, he'd have been back. And I don't know. I think it'll be a combination of him not talking about Chelsea in the same way as he did us. The fact that he was already at us and the mess he's got to sort out there. I think he's got a job on his hands. But I digress again. The big important headline in all this is 63 days with no manager of our own. No next Pochettino to come in. That's where everybody needs to have their eyes on this. What goes on over there, that's down to them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where our heads need to turn, because Costa, we know we've got a lot to ship out. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it all in one go, as we've seen that it's taken them so long to be able to make up their minds to be able to push the button and do so. But with teams going down, is there anyone from those teams, those fodder, that you would take to Spurs? Mm-hmm.
James Maddison all day long, proven in the Premier League. Lovely little player in terms of, I think him and Kane would combine really well. Sonny making them runs off defenders, Kane dropping, Maddison dropping. Do you know what I mean? I think Maddison's got a lot of ability. JWP from Southampton, we've got 15, 16 free kicks at least, in a season. And 9 times out of 10 he'll score. But obviously if he came to Spurs, hopefully we won't Spurs him. Do you know what I mean? Is it the young Leeds lad, Notto? Notto?
Yeah, Notto, yeah.
Good player. I don't know if he's ready yet. But I think Maddison, Harvey Barnes, Ward-Prowse, Jews, you've got them absolutely spot on. Tillemans, you're forgetting that, but Tillemans always he's been going to Arsenal for the past 15 years. What's going on with that?
No, it is strange.
I don't know why some Spurs don't rate Maddison. I think he's quality.
And especially at the minute where we're kind of missing that creative element. And I know none of this really matters until we get a manager in. But exactly. Jay, what do you kind of think? Are you kind of saying those same names?
The just to answer Costa's question on Maddison, I don't think there's not Spurs fans don't rate Maddison. I know that there's a little bit of history of Maddison not liking Spurs, which is partly the reason why some Spurs fans are against him coming. But I 100% rate him as a footballer, and I know he's a professional. So if he came to play for us, I'd take him in a heartbeat. But, there is that little bit. But the point for me, Hollie, is one of the messages you starred about who do we want to bring in. First of all, the fact that we're taking players from relegated teams is a little bit of an indication of where we are as a club. That, instead of going, who do we want to sign? We're saying, who from the relegated teams are we going to poach because they're not going to stay, essentially, And we're kind of treating our recruitment like we treat our managers. It's always, we're going to take someone that's been sacked. Essentially, I know they've not been sacked, but when these big players go down, 90% of them don't stay. So for me, the only other thing, Ward-Prowse for me, definitely, I take just because, like Costa said, set pieces, for me, we haven't had an unreal set piece taker for a long time. Eriksen had a little stint, and obviously Bale, years and years ago. But yeah, I wanted Meslier, but then I also thought if I wanted an erratic Frenchman, I might as well keep the one that's at my club. Because
Southampton centre half, Jay or Hollie. Because I know you're down south, aren't you? What's his name? Ketchup.
Bella Kotchap.
Bella Kotchap.
If any of my friends from Portsmouth saw how quickly I named him, I'd be in big trouble.
Don't mind him, he ain't bad.
He's not bad, but he's in a relegated defence. This is the thing. But is he worse than Dyer? Is he worse than Dyer?
No, I know what you mean. It's like we're shopping. Oh, quick, they've been relegated. Let's go and get it. I know what you mean, buddy. I do. I do, and it's one of them things where, without European football, as I think Darren said it before, we didn't really attract top players when we had European football, did we? No. Really, it wasn't like we was going for, the A-listers. So nothing changes, really, man. Do you know what I mean? So
I think as well,
good little players. Look, a little bit what Brighton do. Matomas of this world, Casados of this world, McAllisters of this world. They're great players, man. They're so good. And I think you said it today, didn't you, Cracks? Was on the phone. Casado and McAllister already on their way. And Roberto De Zerbi's already said, they need to go or they're going. See, they're rebuilding already. They're looking to the future. Do you know what I mean? They're not getting stale where, bless him, God bless him, Dele Alli was a £100 million player 4 years ago.
He wasn't worried about them two going. He sort of wished them luck. He knows that all the moving components of the machine at Brighton are already looking at the next two to come along and replace them. So if you've got confidence as a manager to know that you're losing your two best players, can you imagine at Spurs if they turn around and went, I don't know, like Kane and Romero was going or something, you'd be like, probably not Kane. He sits in a different level, doesn't he? But all right, maybe like Sonny and Romero or something. There'd be riots, wouldn't there? We'd see yet another riot in Tottenham, honestly. But they're quite cool with it. They go, okay, well, we'll find the next two that come in because everything's working in sync there. So
they're going to get it right.
But the issue of those players coming in, Hollie and everyone, even Maddison being proved, James Ward-Prowse being proved, so you can kind of go, okay. But we're talking about buying players, but we've got no director of football. We've got no manager. We have. Who's buying? So who's buying them? Daniel Levy. Is he now the new director of football? I don't know why he just don't make himself chairman, director of football, and manager. I mean, he's the money he pays himself. That he's probably on a combo wage there. So I mean, if you took Daniel Levy to the Guinness factory and said to him, go in there and buy me a pint of Guinness, I wouldn't trust him not to come out with a bottle of water, to be honest. So, I mean, what's he buying the players now? Because there's nobody there to buy players at the moment. So anybody coming in, it's like, what's that all about? New man might come in and go, I hate Maddison. I don't like him. I don't rate him. He doesn't do this for me. He doesn't do that for me. And the way I'm going to play is just not going to involve him. You're in the madhouse again. It's just it's just like the tail wagging the dog all the time. It has to stop. It really does have to stop.
I think as well, going back to the Europe point, Liverpool, obviously, I know towards the end of the season, everyone caught up, but Liverpool weren't great or consistent this year. Newcastle are going to recruit really well. Man United are more than likely going to recruit really well. Chelsea are going to throw the checkbook at Pochettino. City are probably not going to sign anyone because they've got 627 world-class players. Arsenal, I don't know what they're going to do, whether they're going to spend big or not. And you think any of these boys are want to kind of come to us? That's the point as well. And that's the point. I don't think they're going to want to come to us because those teams are going to be out for blood. Arsenal could have won the league this year because everyone else was crap. That was it.
Apart from City,
everyone but City were for a stage and caught up with them. But everyone else has been crap this year in like a golf level between the top two. Normally, there's like 4 teams fighting it out. Yeah. And I think Liverpool and that lot are going to be out for blood next year, and I think the transfer window will probably show that with people. You know, I've just seen that Chelsea have already signed, sealed, delivered Ugarte, who's like a guy from Sporting that everyone's been after. This is already done. The guy's been in 55 minutes,
and they finished 12th.
Yeah.
It's mad. And I think that's the thing. And Crackers, I know that you've been very vocal on the NEC out and things like that, but it's getting to that point now when we're seeing clubs. I know Chelsea have the checkbook, but they get things done. It's done. Again, we're behind by how many days we haven't got a manager. We haven't got a director of football. And it is showing that players aren't necessarily want to come to us. And we haven't even approached them yet because we haven't got the other things in order. So what needs to happen? I know that we say, let's get them out, but how do we do that?
Well, I think my beef with the owners isn't the spend. I think our spend's been it has been good, not quite good. It has been good, but it's just been wasted. It's poor decisions. So, they're running around spending too much time on everything else at the club at the moment. And, I'm quite delighted that Beyonce's there tonight and people are spending big dough. I know it goes to the promoter, but we've hired it out. I mean, loads of other clubs, their stadiums are sat doing nothing. Ours tonight is turning over millions, literally millions with this tour that comes in. But that's all they seem to worry about. That doesn't seem to filter back into the football club. It's not, here's the football club, this is the fulcrum, this is what we're all about, and everything else we do will feed into it. It's not. It just that's not transpiring. So that's my beef with them. That sort of needs to come in and be directed more. So there's so much that the club could do that in real terms doesn't cost them a lot of money. Really doesn't. Where is the permanency at the stadium to tell you this is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Me and Ant have spoken about this. Yeah, we got the beautiful cockerel on the roof, but it sits a little bit out of the way, doesn't it? You've got like the stone cockerel in the wall of the stadium outside, but it blends in a little bit, doesn't it? All the signage there is digital, so it can just change like that and gone. Where's, there's no statues there of anything. Tottenham, the Tottenham experience, it's called, not the Tottenham Hotspur experience, the signage. You look at it, if you look at it without any, exactly, it's like, you go into Ant's room, there's no doubt you're in the room, but, and it's the same thing. It's just, so a lot of it is what the culture of the club that we're losing, the identity of the club. And that's why I want them gone. I just want I want somebody to be Tottenham Hotspur, not everything else. So how do you get them out? Well, that's another 2-hour show, isn't it? At the moment, you're only really getting 100 odd people turning up for a protest. There's a lot of moaning and groaning that goes on social media, but that's easy. I've always said, if you have one mass protest and one boycott of buying stuff in the ground and just a little bit of pulling back, not going to games, if that was to happen, I think that would really concentrate their minds. But people will only do that when they're ready, because on the flip side of that, there's elements of the ENIC out protest that are too evangelical, that are just saying, you must be protesting, you must not go to the games, you must not spend. And if somebody's not there and not ready to do those things, then you have to respect it. And eventually, if it carries on being run the way it is, more and more people will join the protest. But it has to remain organic, and you have to respect if some people are like, no, I'm happy with what's going on. I'm happy to go along and buy me 2 shirts a year and me season ticket and me couple of pints and a hot dog. You have to respect it. So, but look, a lot of this is principled, isn't it? You know, it's a case of I might not get any change, but the principle is I'm going to ask for it. So yeah, you know, but it's all down to the individual to find their level with it.
Our mates just, me and Crackers' mates just got to the Beyonce concert, and he said it's the best atmosphere he's heard all season at the ground.
That's because my sister's there and not me instead.
Do you reckon the new manager walks out? Imagine the balls on Levy to do like, you guys didn't want Beyonce, but here's the special guest, Julian Nagelsmann.
You spare a thought for my oldest daughter, but she's there tonight and she's in a box with half the West Ham team. So
Oh my!
You've got to sit and put up with them.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. My. It is like you said. I think with the whole Enick out and things, I think you do need to find your level, and it isn't about forcing people to take part. It's whether they think with their principles that's what they want to do. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Crackers.
I've got to say with that, for me, Crackers, and it's actually because obviously you're on Hollie's show quite a lot, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass here, but I do like a lot of what you say, and you're always very reasoned with the way you talk. And I know that side of the Enick out side of thing have been, you know, not been so leveled a lot of the time with the conversation. And I think the interview you did when you were at the protest at Brentford, for me was exactly, you know, what you've said there about it can't be making the fans feel guilty for going to the stadium with their family and kids and supporting the team, because this is the thing as well. And I've said this, I understand the protesting and I get it, but the minute it goes away from supporting the team on the field, when the boys are 2-1 down to Brentford and it needs to be pulled out and they need the fans to pull them out and we're singing about the ownership, I don't think that's going to help footballing performances. I understand why we do it, but you know, it's very difficult to, and I think that's the way it does have to go, because it turns a lot of people like me off, to be perfectly honest. And I've said this to Hollie, you know, when we went to Brentford, there was someone who was like pulling people off the street to come over, and it did feel very evangelical. But then I also know that that's not the whole of that movement. I do know that's not the whole of that movement, but I just think it's got to be a message of, you know, support the club, not, you know, support the club and the ownership that are there.
Yeah, you can do both things.
Yeah,
you can separate both things. You can love Tottenham Hotspur and not like Enick so much. That is possible, and you can find a balance with it. And you know, all of us are quite regulars on social media, and we don't fall into the trap of thinking that social media speaks for this whole fan base. It really doesn't. There's a massive groundswell, a massive middle ground of people that occasionally pop onto social media, you know. And I mean, I saw people coming up at the protests and saying, oh, you know, what's this all about? And was asking some questions about it, was asking about the gold and purple or purple and gold scarves and things like that. There's a lot of people out there that are not as engaged in the politics of the club as we all are, because like we're like complete idiots that spend every waking minute checking what's being said about us or what's not being said about us on social media. But there is a hell of a lot of people out there that are not. They just want to go to the game on Saturday, have a couple of pints, support the club. If you get a win, great. If you don't get a win, okay, not so great. But I'll deal with it, you know, because the alternative is getting dragged around the Swedish furniture shop all afternoon, like looking at a load of crap. So that's why a lot of people go. They're not as engaged as we are. But if you know the Enick out movement, if they can actually appeal to that moderate middle ground, as well and engage those, or they become engaged enough and angry enough with the club, they'll get on board with protest. This will find its natural level, and anybody trying to force it, it is just going to rub people up the wrong way. But I know one thing: if the club carries on running the way it is, more and more people will get on board with it. You know, this will become a thing. So yeah, you know, make your own choices, people. Don't be influenced by lunatics like us.
No, but I think you make some great points, and it is nice to have, because I know when people bring it up, sometimes when I have people on, they're a bit like, I don't want to talk about it. But I think it's good to talk about it, because Crackers, I think you do give it in a level-headed way, which is quite nice for everybody that's watching to listen to. But we have got an awful lot to do this summer, and I was quite open for a break, but I don't think we're going to get one. But I just want to say before we go, thank you to everybody that's tuned in for the last Hollie's Hotspurs live of the season. It's been, when I say a roller coaster, it literally has been this season. It's been a madness. And I appreciate everybody that's come back every Monday to watch, and to you guys, Jay, Costa and Crackers, for coming on for this one. So we'll go around the table where we can find each other. So Jay, where can everybody find you talking your thing?
I'll normally on Twitter and Twitch at JJ Season. I don't do a lot of podcasting and stuff, but it's more gaming and things. But obviously, I love doing this, and thank you for having me on. And just want to say, obviously, an amazing season, and I think I speak for the three of us here when I say, you know, the growth of this channel and how amazing it's been, and the guests you've had on and everything. You should be very proud of what you've achieved. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jay. Don't make me cry, Jesus.
Jay,
Yeah.
is that classic shirts you?
What?
No.
The guy that no, it's not. I've got an affiliate link with them, but
your Twitter. Oh, I love the old classic shirt.
Yeah, no. If you want 20% off your shirt, you can use my code though. So
Loving you up, Jay. Loving you up.
Oh dear. But no, make sure you follow Jay and Costa. I'm pretty sure everybody knows where they can find you, but you can tell everyone where you do your thing and stuff.
You can find me at Anthony Costa, Twitter and Instagram. I don't do Twitch, not a clue what that is. So good luck to you, Jay, my mate. Yeah, you can hear me moaning on a few spaces as well on Twitter. But I'm most predominantly on Last Word on Spurs with my good mate. Where is he? That way, Mr. Cracknell, who I speak to more times than I speak to my own missus.
Oh dear. But no, thank you, Costa. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Hollie. Lovely to be on again, mate.
And Crackers, my friend, the man of so many analogies and jokes. Oh wait, hang on. Before I come to you, Craig has just whacked in a tenner. What a geezer!
Top man, well done, Craig.
No, thank you, Craig. I do really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And like I say, every time you've tuned into the show, so thank you for your donation. But Crackers, where can everybody find your thing and your king of jokes? I love them every time you come on.
Rubbish dad jokes all the time. So yeah, I'm at Mr. Cracknell on the socials, and I'm normally on there unless I'm speaking to Ant and telling him about a band that I'm listening to or going to see, and he goes, "What are you listening to them for?" Because we are completely like, Ant loves a bit of yacht rock. I'll throw a little bit of daylight in upon magic here. Ant loves his yacht rock, and I'm like industrial punk music. I'm off to see Sparks tomorrow night, and Ant's like, oh, okay, I know, yeah. He was a little bit on board with them, but some of them I speak to him about. He's yeah. So I'm at Mr. Cracknell across the socials, hosting me Legends Night. So got a cracker coming up, if you pardon the pun, in July. Got a night with Danny Rose in Arness Grove. So a bit of a one-off. So if you fancy that, have a look on the socials. I've put it out there. And yeah, so I'm there. And if you can't find me on the socials, I'm at home on the beach. Thanks very much. And Hollie,
so
well done. Brilliant this season. Really, really good. Honestly, been fantastic. See the channel growing, and has just been superb. But don't sign off this show. I know you're running over a little bit without giving a little mention to Lucas Moura. And
yes.
yesterday, oh, come on. come on. I mean, listen, it was only a moment, wasn't it? It's been moments rather than his career. But is football not all about moments sometimes? You know, it's Ricky Villa all over again. And he just seems such a lovely man, a lovely family guy. What he done in Amsterdam and how he signed off yesterday, that's fairy tale stuff, absolute fairy tale stuff. Tottenham's always been a little bit of a, if you pardon my language, a bit of a slut for a player, isn't it? That does that sort of thing, those moments, like, you know, and wow, he's folklore, isn't he? He's not so much legend, more folklore. So, yeah, wish him all the best.
I'm glad you've mentioned that. Oh, go on.
£200 for an away show.
Yeah.
He's already looking for his next shirt, man.
Yeah, some of
No, I
them are
want
very
Joe's 3%.
I need to remember what the code is. No one's asked me for it for years.
Oh dear, but saying crackers, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think my mum would kill me if I didn't give a little send off to Lucas Moura. She was very happy one year when he wished her happy birthday, bless her. I think she nearly lost the plot. He is. He's so nice.
Me and Crackers speak to Steve Jukes on a kit man at Spurs, and he said, like, Lucas is an absolute gentleman of a bloke and always great to have around. So, Lucas, whatever you do, mate, good luck. And close.
Yes.
Love that. I think that's the best way to end the show with Coys. So thank you everybody that's been in tonight. It's been very crazy. If you're rewatching, whatever, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Keep your eyes peeled because I know I'm going to be doing some women's World Cup content with my good friend Albert. So I'm very glad that they bottled the league, that I can do that with him a bit happier. But like next time and come the new season, come on you Spurs.